Let me know when we live.
We are live.
All right.
Ladies, let's go. I wanna be down, I've been up for a while. It look better on the gram when he sit in the crowd. This life is what you make it, ride that wave and don't drown. We real jury while we making songs with the sounds. Come on in while you're yawning, get it on and you know me. Shooter of the year, home video for fans only. Couple bands in my hands while we rolls. Tell them hold it, leave my shit in the front.
What's up,
kick
Claire?
the door in, have my swag, still my staff, I get last laugh. Text the group,
Hey, brother.
back. Black tights, Jordan 3s, and a snapback. With a starter jacket before you bitches have swag. If I'm coming how I'm coming, I don't have that.
Sorry, Nana, for the curse word.
The favorite in the trap.
It's his idea.
The tone is what I said it. If you want it, come and get it. Don't forget it. I wanna be down with what you're going through. I wanna be down.
Hey, Allison.
Hey, Julia.
Hey, Jolie. Love you.
From the mind, poetic, profound, and lyrically inclined, spiritually aligned, cause it's all by design. You
Hey,
can't
Nana.
follow behind, but
Hey,
you
Addie.
that rhythm
Hey,
and
Crystal.
make emotional use. They just misuse it with
Y'all know my cousin
for
on here.
professional use. This only stemmed from the roots. I'm just enjoying the fruits, and I don't usually flex. I could if I wanted to, but I'm making exceptional. Filipina queen, my money green like vegetable. Who the first black woman to own a festival? Barbie without the plastic, a classic collectible. Young and respectable, shady, they skeptical. Say a prayer, Breonna Taylor seemed intentional. Black queens with dreams, beautiful, exceptional. Say you wanna be down, but still ain't the rest of them though.
Hey, Candace. Thank you for the review.
Hey, Candace.
Hey, Stacey Joy.
Oh, Stacey in the building. You know.
Absolutely. Straight from the CA. What up, Mo?
My game too strong, your man too close. He on my phone about these bills. Put mommy on the phone. He ain't never coming home. Look, I'm about to go in. I'ma get inside these bitches head like a sew in. I'ma lace the track in the front, make it blend in. Pull that shit back so the glue ain't showing on the track. I'm hoeing, hose pipe flowing. About to build a little flower bed he can grow in. Got a mothership, we can head to the store in. While the world screaming, maybe I'ma keep growing. Bitch, I'm from the hood.
Oh, sorry for the curse word.
So you're in the club. Look,
this on you, friend.
Keep a tight skirt.
Well, praise the Lord, everybody.
After 2020 division,
I need that crown.
Year 2020, I went with my
We do.
females. We gon' flourish in these conditions. Borderfront line, not in your kitchen. I'm on a mission. B7 out now, go streaming for all your feelings. Blessed to finally see it completed and not deleted. From saving all the wave and bipolar, I'm genius. With global climate rising, I keep it cool like anemic. Said I love you, but I mean it. Ain't no happy.
Yeah.
As I look inside that mirror to understand what a queen is. Trying to teach my mini me that our skin is not a weakness. Can't just settle at the surface, cause that trauma cut the deepest. Know you beautiful and black, go be proud. Always trust in God, to higher self, take that vow. And if they say the sky is the limit, then buy a cloud. And if they can't see us as an equal, they not allowed.
You ready, friend?
I'm ready. Listen, I am ready.
Are you sure?
Listen, let's get it popping.
Let's get it.
Listen, they ain't here for us.
They ain't here for us.
We don't though.
You know who they here for. So can you tell the folks what we talking about today?
Yo, we got Dr. Christopher Emdin in the house.
He in the back, y'all. He in the back waiting.
He in the back waiting for y'all. And let me just give y'all a bio because one, I know that y'all got that book. Everybody and their mama should have.
But listen, you got to tell them what the topic is today and why this is a big.
I'm just so ready because I know that Dr. Emdin is in the back. I'm like, forget all of that. But
listen, you got to tell them what we're talking about and what today is for Hip Hop Ed. So tell them that.
Oh my gosh, that's right, my friend. So today we are talking about, and this is such a beautiful moment because we are talking about amplifying the voices of Black women in hip hop. Okay.
And Hip Hop Ed. So check out our shirt.
Look, wait a minute. You know mine. I would never buy a pink shirt. DST, you know this is wrong.
Come on,
it's all good. But anyway, so you know Listen, we're amplifying the voices of Black women in hip hop ed, but also this is the 10-year anniversary celebration of hip hop ed. Is that not dope?
Like so dope, and it's right on point. So tell them a little bit about Dr. Emdin before he get on.
Let me just listen. First of all, I don't have enough time in the day to tell you everything, so I'm gonna give y'all a little short synopsis, like a little taste, okay? A little taste. Right. Dr. Christopher Emdin is an associate professor in the Department of Mathematics, Science, and Technology at Teachers College, Columbia University, where he also serves as director of the Science Education Program and associate director of the Institute for Urban Minority Education. Dr. Emdin is a social critic, public intellectual, and science advocate whose commentary on issues of race, culture, inequality, and education have appeared in dozens of influential periodicals, including the New York Times,
come on,
Wall Street Journal,
come on,
Washington Post,
come on.
I'm gonna stop right there because I got to go to the next paragraph. He was the creator of #HipHopEd. Come on, 10 years, a social media movement. Yes. And a much sought after public speaker on a number of topics that include hip hop education. You're not gonna back me this time? Hip hop education.
I see you. Go ahead. Yes.
STEM education.
Yes.
Politics.
Yes.
Race, class, diversity, and youth empowerment. He is also an advisor to numerous international organizations, school districts, and schools. He is the author of the award-winning book, Urban Science Education for the Hip Hop Generation, and the New York Times bestseller that I use on my semesters in the clinical program for white folks who teach in the hood and the rest of y'all too.
And the rest of y'all too. But listen, before we bring on Chris, I got to give him his flowers before he comes on. I'm sure he's in the back probably rolling his eyes at me, but I want to take this time to talk about, I know you all get a chance to see Dr. Emdin, but I've had the pleasure and the honor of getting to know Chris. I was one of Chris' first graduate assistants when I was a student at TC. And I just want to say thank you, Chris, for giving me a chance. He read my little application for the Zankel Fellowship and found out that I was doing work around hip hop in ELA classrooms and gave me an opportunity to do work with him. All of the work that I do in my classrooms around cogenerative dialogues, hip hop in ELA classrooms came from him. And so I had the opportunity and literally an honor to watch Chris walk into his purpose, but also most importantly, just go from glory to glory. He has stayed humble, stayed down. Whenever I call him an opportunity right now, he's always available. And I'm just so proud of him. So I want you all to not just be able to see Dr. Emdin today, but to see who Chris really is and all of the work that he does in our community. So Dr. B, go ahead and bring Chris into the building.
Do a little thug here. Let me put him in here.
What up, y'all?
What's up?
Can I just say, y'all done hyped me all the way up, the whole bio, everything. I'm about to float out of here. I'm trying not to be gassed, but I appreciate the love so much. And, I love what you guys are doing. I love the space that you've created. I love the energy that you're bringing to this work. And, Keisha almost made me shed a tear thug. I want you to know that I appreciate you too. And before we even get into this, I always tell cats, if folks feel as though I open up space for them, it's never because I'm doing something for someone. It's because in them is reflecting something powerful, and it's my responsibility to create space. So I never did nothing for you. You did what you did by entering into the space. All I did was do what my job was, which was to step out the way and allow you to do what you do. I have to be clear, because I think oftentimes this relationship, mentor-mentee relationship, is oftentimes perceived through this hierarchical notion. It's the mentor creates the opportunity. I ain't creating nothing. All I do is find a way and allow your brilliance to shine. And that's why you are right now. So just want to put that out.
Now you're trying to make me share a thug tear. Listen.
Y'all having a beautiful moment.
Listen, I love Chris because for real, Chris, I want to say this, you gave me the courage to be my full self. I remember the last time we were in Edmund's office just chopping it up. And I was just saying, like, you know, Chris, how are you so bold to be your full self in all of these spaces? And you said something that I literally wrote down in my journal and I share with everyone. You were like, listen, you can show up perfect if you want to and do all of the right things. But as soon as you make one mistake, they're going to hate you anyway. So you might as well show up as your full self. And I will never, ever forget that. So I appreciate you for always keeping it 100 and just what you said, like creating space for us. So, you know, you my homie and I love you. Like,
that's love. So let's get into this dialogue.
Let's go.
I still help y'all too. Like, you see, I got the smoky room. I got the lights in the background. Like, I'm trying to make this nice thing. You know what I mean? Set the ambiance for the joint.
Listen, do not go out for these people. Listen, this is the 10th anniversary of HipHopEd, and we're so excited to talk about it. So tell the folks, what is HipHopEd and why is it important for us to have it in K-12 and university settings? Why is it important and what is it?
Well, you know, HipHopEd, like hashtag HipHopEd, is an organization that began 10 years ago on social media. I literally was just tweeting into the universe, hoping somebody would respond. I remember the good brother Brandon Frame, who just got into a PhD program, so I'm mad hype for him. And he's behind the Black Man Can as well. He responded to me, and we were just talking about Jay-Z had dropped a book, I think it was Decoded, and we're talking about the implications of utilizing Decoded in the classroom. And he was like, yo, I'm gonna holler at you next week. I like this conversation. And the next week, Sam Sadell joined and Tim Jones joined. And then before we knew it, we had this groundswell of individuals who were talking about the intersections of hip hop and education, utilizing artifacts that were emerging from communities as the anchor text for teaching and learning organically. So then HipHopEd just became a thing as a hashtag. Then we evolved from a hashtag HipHopEd from a weekly conversation to an organization. So it became a nonprofit. And after that, it became like outreach work. And then it became like a consortium of educators. Like we have hashtag HipHopEd educators across the world. We got HipHopEd Chile, HipHopEd UK, in like Toronto. And it's just folks who are ready and willing to engage in and with hip hop and what has value for education in a different way. Now, we ain't invent nothing. And I'm always telling cats this, like, hip hop and education. Nah, people have been doing hip hop and education since the beginning of time. In fact, HipHopEd began with hip hop. Like, Kool Herc constructed a party that became hip hop because his sister wanted to get money for school. She wanted to get clothes to wear to school. So the connection between hip hop, the party that originated the culture, came as a response to wanting to fit in schools, like the value of aesthetics in educational spaces. So HipHopEd has existed before we named it HipHopEd, just like hip hop has existed before we named it hip hop. Because I always argue that in West Africa with the talking drums on slave ships, constructing rhythms to the hulls of the ships when folks were chanting out the names of their ancestors, when the drums were going in the background, and folks were dancing around and giving call and response. So hip hop has been hip hop since the beginning of time. We named it that in the 70s. HipHopEd has been existent since the birth of hip hop that also existed in the 70s. So, you know, all we did is put a name to what already existed and created a consortium of educators across the globe to rally around a theme. Now, why is it important? It's important because of us. You know what I mean? Like, we are fully embedded in a cultural artifact, a cultural phenomenon that speaks to our souls. It is our existence, it's the way we walk, the way we talk, our voice inflections, everything about us is married to hip hop. And if you're in schools where that aspect of the self is erased, then it means that you have to divorce yourself from your authentic self in order to engage academically. And so we argue for HipHopEd as an approach to instruction so that people can bring their whole selves into academic spaces. Because if you don't bring your whole self, you can't learn.
That is so true.
If the emotion is divorced from the intellectual, then you're only superficially engaging with the content.
That superficial
All
piece.
oneself must be triggered. So your emotional self, your psychological self, your social self. And so we bring HipHopEd into educational spaces so that we can create opportunities for young folks to have their fully actualized selves to engage in academic content. It's twisted. There's a misperception that the argument is about just comfort with the expense or just comfort and not content. I'm making an argument that comfort is the prerequisite to the acquisition of content. But comfort can happen until my full self is welcome. And so HipHopEd is essential so that you don't have wide swaths of the population only superficially engaging because you're triggering the mind but not touching the heart and soul.
Wow.
That's beyond dope.
Listen, you got people in here like already blowing up, ready to go. But I think, it just shows like why that comment that you made to me when we were in Emdin's office is so important. Like, you have to show up as your authentic self. And it's so interesting that you say this, because I was doing a talk at Dr. B's university, and I showed Toby's BET with his wife Fett. I showed his their performance. Yeah. And I said, this is what freedom looks like. But this is the freedom that we're creating still under oppression and racism. Just imagine what we could create if we were really free. Like, free to speak the way that we want to speak, free to talk, like dress the way that we want to dress, show up in a space that is authentically us. We could create even more if you take the chains off, right?
And so Castle wants us to be free, sis. And here's the thing, like, we get sold a version of free that is not full and whole. Like, the pursuit of freedom is free and be dumb. Like, so which is why I make the argument for academics so often, right? Because it's like, I want you to be free to express, but not free to have a command of the academic content. Like, I will accept your freedom if it's performative to the most pejorative ways I can see you. So folks, they don't like denigrate free expression for Black folks. They denigrate free expression of Black folks when it's also in the pursuit of academic content. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, the goal is not just freedom and expression. It's freedom and expression, and then freedom and articulation of the language of the power wielder to show that that power that you wield through content is minuscule in comparison to what I hold. And the two is what allows me to show you that, first of all, it's easy. Listen, it's easy to do doctoral work.
You breaking up, Chris.
You spit it back out, you write a long document, you keep it moving. Like, but it's been framed as though it's the height of knowledge. And folks allow you to be free and dumb and think it's freedom.
I'm about to be talking about free and dumb.
I don't want to do that. And so the game has been make what we do seem like it's out of their reach so they could be free and less than. And the minute that you take that free and dumb to full free dumb, so the second dumb is dominate. So you're either free and dumb or you're free and dominating. Now to dominate, enter multiple spheres and interact in those spaces higher level. And so for me, like, I ain't gonna be free and dumb, right? I'm gonna be free and dominate. Domination requires my being fully wedded to all of my multiple selves and operating with excellence on multiple tiers.
Listen, I got a question because you're doing the most right now. I got a question. As a future elementary educator, now how can I think that's what's supposed to say, how can I incorporate the hip hop ed in my future classroom? And I'm thinking about what you're talking about specifically when this student is asking the question, what do they do when administration and others don't support this? How do they start to navigate and adopt this?
It's the you have to have the boldness to engage in what you know is right to do, and a faith in what you're doing, that the outcomes and benchmarks those folks look for can be met through an alternate means. Because the same cats who will denigrate you for engaging in a hip hop approach will also be like, make sure those kids learn their ABCs, like make sure they're able to follow instructions. And so the issue is not, we can talk about the goals of schools, right, and how problematic they are or may be. But the issue is not really the goals per se, because the goals are simple. Like, this is what I want y'all to understand. Like, it's a reframing required here. Like, having young folks meet whatever the benchmark that's framed as like, work hard to reach the benchmark. That's a flawed perception. It's allow the kids to be their full selves and then shrink down for a second and grab that on their way to being their full selves. So you have to say, okay, you want to stop me from doing this, but I can meet your benchmark through an alternate means. Create the space to do that. Look, if you let young folks be free, they smash any benchmark. That's the misperception.
That's so true.
Historically, we've been conditioned to believe that the heights of academic success are beyond our reach, when in reality, the reason why young folks don't do well on those benchmarks is that it's so far beneath them, it hurts to reach down. It's not like it's out of reach. It's hard to move a bend. You know what I'm saying? So once you reframe it that way and you're a full giant, when you in your full self, then you're like, you know what? I will take the risk to reach down because I know I can stand up right after. If it's framed as reach down and bend forever, nobody's going to intentionally bend forever. And genetically, we've done this, right? Like, let me bring a little epigenetic conversation. Like, if you have a population who historically has always bent, you actually, in the genetic makeup, this epigenetic research, like a social phenomena really connects to your genetic predisposition. Like, if you bend your whole life, you give birth to kids who want to bend. So the interruption of that narrative is a classroom space that allows them to be giants. And then frame it as just less than a small thing to pick up on your pursuit of your excellence. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Listen,
Dr. B, you got to hit him with the next question because my head is about to explode.
I'm going to have to replay this and take notes. So in the meantime, let me go to this question. Let me bring it to Black women because we really want to tap into Black women in hip hop. And how do we acknowledge the brilliance, creativity, and degradation of Black women in hip hop? And this is a two-parter. Also, how do we celebrate the assets and interrogate the deficits in hip hop, especially when we are taught to hate ourselves and everything associated with Blackness?
That's such a brilliant, layered question. I'm gonna do my best to get to all. I'm glad you kept it on the screen so I could read the joint.
Yeah, I tried to help you out.
You know what I mean? Like that was a heavy joint. But I'm gonna say this. And this might not be popular, but I'll say it anyway.
Okay.
It is not the responsibility of anybody to like amplify the voices of sisters or get like sometimes in the interest of saying we want to do well for sisters, we reinforce the notion that they require our assistance to do what they do. You just gotta move out the way. Like, and I think it's a really interesting conundrum, right? Because we're like, well, what I'm gonna do for, like, I'm gonna make sure that to allow the sisters to be able to, nah, bro, just move. Like, and the movement does not require you shutting yourself off or down.
That's good.
And that's the piece that folks don't grasp. It's like
that's the major part.
None of us need to look where we've been as a people to where we are. No one should be practicing the exercise of shrinking.
Wow.
But what we should be doing is moving out the way to let folks take up space as they want to, as they desire to. And in hip hop, when we talk about denigration within hip hop, etc., same conversation. Folks will always be like, well, hip hop, the women's roles in hip hop are hypersexual. How do we work to ensure that women, like, it's not my job, my role, or within my power, nor do I want the power to identify whether or not how a woman chooses to express herself, express her agency, create space and take up space is done. Like, that's just not my, like, I just gotta move and let her rock. Like, so like this idea of like
let her rock.
Sexual. Like there's no man that should be dictating to Megan or Cardi how they choose to enact their agency. It's just not your job.
Come on.
It's about extracting yourself from conversations that you don't need to be having.
Period.
And moving out the way to let folks do what they do. And then stay on your square and doing what you do. Because part of this joint also that. So my sister, Terry Watson, one of my favorite scholars in the universe.
Yes,
what's up, Terry Watson?
Yeah, Terry talks about this concept of performative wokeness, right? And I think that performative wokeness is oftentimes expressed by men in hip hop.
Ooh.
And it rings like pandering. It's like, because sisters, this is, I'm like, yo, fam, you ain't got to over-sister me to death.
Not over-sister.
Nah,
you ain't got to over-sister me to death.
I'm just saying, like, I just want to be like frank, right? Like you're like over-sistering me does not indicate to me that you have value for Black women.
And that's on that.
It doesn't. All it does is show me that you're more interested in the performative aspects of being able to identify yourself with a particular sect within, particularly academics. Academics be all on this. Well, I think like, yo, shut the fuck up.
You better talk about it.
You talking right now.
Do what you do and create space. And here's the thing, like, I also don't gotta announce it all.
Come on.
Like, that's, you know what I mean? I appreciate Keisha's kind words. They warm my soul and heart. Like, to know that somehow I was able to move and create whatever, like a circumstances to allow her brilliance to shine. Like, I love that and appreciate that. That don't got to be in my bio. It doesn't have to be in my consistent articulation of what I do. Like, if I'm about that life, I do it. When the flowers come, oh my gosh, I love it. I appreciate it. I'm thankful, but I ain't like, it doesn't have to be part of my thing. And when cats come and be like, yo, by the way, I've heard it, like, yo, HipHopEd, it's a bunch of dudes. I'm like, yo, fam, you don't even know what we do. So if you're like, you don't know what we do, how we do, what we doing, right? And it's not my responsibility to introduce you of that. Like, I'm not gonna try to like prove my, gender affiliation by marching out on my mentees. Like, I do what I do, you do what you do. If your job is to hate, my job is to do my work. And so, that part. Now, with that being said, are there things within hip hop that sometimes I'm like, oh, shit.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's my culture. I love it. My relationship to hip hop is Baldwin's relationship to America. Like,
wow, that's deep.
I love it so much that I have to critique it. I have to hold it up, but it doesn't stop me from loving it. And in that instance, my work is then in the work I do with young folks daily. You know what I mean? Like, and that is in not really problematizing, but holding it to the light because their souls speak truth. I'll give you an example. A young person spouts out a lyric that is deeply homophobic and misogynistic. My job is not to turn it off and be like, yo, stop that. It's misogynistic. It's not none of that. My job is to be like, yo, look at that lyric. Say it out loud to me and the rest of the class. And they're like, nah, Dr. E, I can't. I'm like, yo, you just said it to your headphones.
You said it through your headphones.
Say it out loud. And oftentimes what I find is that when you hold to light the work,
that's dope.
Young folks' souls, that it's about collective humanity. What do you do? Do you believe what you're listening? Do you believe what you're hearing? Do you believe what you're listening to? Do you believe in those lyrics? And then all of a sudden, you invoke the criticality that is innately embedded in the consciousness of folks who are in hip hop. So it's about just holding it up to the light and then engaging in conversation. And folks get with it. Like, I'm not interested in pulling up kids' pants. I'm not interested in none of that. I'm interested in creating the conditions to allow them to allow their innate brilliance, their innate genius, their innate criticality to be awakened. Because when it does, they do what's right to do anyway. And so that's how I deal with those issues. And I may cringe. I'm like, yo, Dr. E, I'm like, yo, I can tell you how I feel. I'm only an expert in my own experiences or whatever it is. Anything else is just conjecture. So I just cringe. I'm like, yo, I'll tell you why I feel that way. But you have to decide and determine for yourself why you feel that way. And my job is to illuminate, to allow the truth in you to emerge. And that's it.
And you know what? I'm thinking about something that Goldie said when we interviewed her. It's just about increasing students' criticality, right? And I was just talking to Dr. B right before we got on. Like, right now, in universities, we are teaching the students who came out of the No Child Left Behind Act era, right? And so those students were taught to just take tests, right? We haven't really taught them how to interrogate knowledge. And then they're running into people like us, like, no, tell me why you think what you think, right? Tell me why you think this is knowledge and why won't you push back against this? And you never had to say, hey, this is my perspective, but like, you've created space for them to interrogate knowledge. And I told my students today, I have some of them on here, they will tell you, I'm more concerned about making you see humanity more than I am about you learning grammar and language, right? I want you to be able to think about your thinking, because if you think about your thinking, you will engage with Black people differently. You will engage with Latinx people differently because you're thinking about your thinking. But if I'm just regurgitating information to you, then you paying me $30,000 for what? I want to teach you how to think.
It's useless. Like, yo, first of all, can we just take a pause and just snap it up for that? Like, that whole joint. Like, I oftentimes make the argument that, we oftentimes talk about like the really horrific effects of crack cocaine in Black and brown communities. And we could talk about this if y'all got the space or not. When we talk about, the governmental influence in creating that circumstance. Like,
come on here.
Like, post-crack babies had some issues.
Absolutely.
Post-NCLB race to the top babies is even worse.
Yep, you saying a word.
Good.
And I'm dead serious. Like, in a sense that you've been robbed of anything about you that forces you to look deep. at yourself or at the world. Like it's all about there's no inner vision, there's no forward vision. All you think about is the moment and the assessment. And anybody whose existence is preoccupied by assessments or how they're being assessed has no space to dream. And
that's deep.
And if you can't dream, you can't be. Like the essence of life is dream. It's the activation of the imagination is the essence of humanity. And so when everything else is shut off, like you're not a human anymore. Like literally, you become a clone. Like you are a robot. Like existence is about approval by this assessment or that person. And when somebody puts you in a space where you are forced to think inwards, outwards, or drink, you don't even know how to exist. Like I got a joint drop in, and I'm gonna do a little commercial. I got a joint drop in called STEM, Steam, Make, Dream. And the entire premise of the book is how we don't have a populace that can engage in STEM because we've robbed them of the opportunity to dream. And we've colonized the concept of art. That's so deep. Like even in STEAM, like art, like what is art? Hip hop is not even part of the A in STEAM. How? When the hip hop identity is so connected to science, creativity, innovation, metaphor and analogy, reflection, like science mindedness is better than hip hop. So extract hip hop arts out of constructing STEM identities is foolish. To rob people with the dream, to be creative is foolish. So, like dream culture gotta be imagined. And we don't have that.
Wow. That is so deep because I feel like too, the NCLB kids are like that microwave society. Like it's a yes, no, checkbox, and see when they don't have it, they meet us, then they panic and they're like, can you check my stuff to make sure it's right? But you're saying that you have to be able to be critical. You have to be able to dream. Listen.
You gotta partake. You gotta partake in the learning. Like the metaphor I oftentimes give when I give talks is that we have fast food instruction for soul food babies. Like where like they pull up and the whole instruction is like, come in, number 2, here's the meal, partake, indulge, pass it, come back. And these are young folks who need like down home mac and cheese,
fried chicken, cornbread,
some potatoes. Like they need all of that, but they've been trained. Like our instruction is so fast food that it can't connect to soul food kids. Like they don't get the nutrients they need. They don't got the time they need. They don't get the sitting at the table and just listening to the OG speak while you're partaking in the meal. All of that is lost because it's so instant.
Wow. You should take us to the next question.
Listen, I'm gonna let one of these folks ask a question before I ask my last question. You could pick whomever. I'm just mulling on this because I know that I get a lot of pushback, but we have to, like, I keep saying this, like we have such the pandemic has sucked. It really has, but it has given us a window to do something different. Like we can do something different. And it's baffling me that people are still trying to pick up the food that they know they don't want, right? Like everybody keeps saying all the things we do in education don't work, but I haven't seen anybody try to implement any form of creativity during a time when we have a window to do it. And so everybody's like, oh, we're going to reimagine. Okay, we've reimagined. Can we do it now?
No, like, let's just start rushing them back in school. But that's
they're not even reimagining. That's the thing about it. I think that phrase has gotten so popularized too. Like you're not really reimagining, are you? Like, I mean, like you're saying, like we've been reimagining, sis. Like I think folks have been reframing or renaming, but they haven't really reimagined. You know what it means to me? Like, let's just take a time out. You know what it means to like imagine, like. You know what I mean? Like, look, I'm in New York. I'm a fast talker.
Yeah, and I'm like, dream here.
But like, to imagine, that's a time out on a whole joint. Like,
that's a time.
That's good. Time out.
That's like soul work. That's like deep work. That's like, I'm gonna go somewhere with y'all, but cats feel my vibe. They don't, like another J line. Like, you don't like me, fine. Cost me nothing, pay me no mind. Like, but like sit in a quiet room in a corner and reflecting your existence type. You know what I mean? Like take the time to cut the people out your circle that are not engaging you the way that you need type.
Chris, now you try to you
in relationship with somebody who is robbing you for being actualized. Like that, it can't work. Because they like reimagining requires doing the cutoff work.
The cutoff word.
Listen, Chris. I'm about to jump through this screen because it's so interesting that you said in the reimagining part. Charmaine and I went to this like institute thing, and they said something, and this is why we created the Black Gaze, because we realized that a lot of the things that we thought we were doing differently was still centered in whiteness. We weren't doing it. And so they asked us, like, what does it mean to be free? Like, will you know it when you get there? Like, will you know what it feel like, taste like, sound like? And we sat there and we were like,
it took a while.
we literally sat there and was like, no, because we are spending so much time trying to get everybody else on board to say that we actually matter and we should be free, that we don't even know what it's gonna feel like when we get free.
Man, listen, that's a whole word.
So we said, no, we're going to create a space where we're going to do it and think about it, because we don't really know what it feels like or seems like to live under the Black gaze, because most of us want that proximity to whiteness, right? And so it's the unlearning, it's the undoing, it's a separating from something that we thought made us who we are and recreating something that really makes us free. And so what you just said about separating, we don't really want to do that, because even when we talk about this work around diversity, equity, inclusion, we like, well, we got to get other people on board. I said, how can other people being on board be contingent upon your freedom? Your freedom got to be your freedom. It doesn't matter who's on board. That has to be for you. And so I don't think we've even had space to do that work, or we're not demanding to do that work, because everybody just still wants to go back to what we were.
Absolutely. Like, and be married to the language, man. And like, you know, this is why I be going so hard on PhDs. And like, I've gotten to the point in my life and my work and my career that I'm just completely unconcerned by, you know, folks who hold titles, because, and I hold one, you know what I mean? Like, I'm critiquing it, but like, I'm just done. I'm done with the notion that I got to be up on a new, like, you know, cultural, no, it's thing, no, it's abolitionist, no, it's back to anti-racist. Like, I'm unconcerned with the linguistic allegiances that are not reflected in ships in practice. Like, a lot of cats talk good one. And I'm like, yo, what you doing? Nothing. It's like I'm concerned. Like, you know, like if you don't got receipts for me that show evidence of, like, yo, fam, I don't care, you know, and like, and I was talking to one of my buddies the other day. He was like, yo, Dr. E, like, I've been doing this work for XYZ, but it seems like the field is moving in that direction. I was like, why you start doing the work to begin with? To do the work, right? Or to move with the field?
That's good.
Think about the concept of moving with the field Negro. Like, think about the concept of moving within the field that is being watched over by an overseer sent by the master. Think about the language. And like, I'm concerned because I've got to be reflecting where the field is moving. I'm unconcerned with where the field is moving. I am deeply concerned in where I am rooted and what I am called to do. If you wasn't called for it to begin with, get ahead and move with the field. Do you? I am centered in my calling. I am positioned to do what I have purpose to do. I have my faith activated. I got my aesthetics the way I need it. I move and operate with joy fully. They gonna either circle back or leave me behind. But if you leave me behind, then I can go and do what I need to do for the folks who need to hear it. Anything else, minor details. Unconcerned. So Toni Morrison interview with Charlie Rose, and I always reference, like, he was like, I am not moved by the gaze. Like, I am not consumed by or concerned. Like, I am not consumed or concerned. I am doing me and what me was called to do. I trust and have faith in the fact that that work is towards my personal liberation and the liberation of my people. Everything else, minor details.
Wow. Dr. B, can you put the next question up? Because
I'm
talking about our question because we like.
I can't even begin to unpack this, so we just gonna go to the next question
because I just can't. I can hear you in my head, like both of y'all together, because you always say, Dr. B, run your route. Just run your route.
Run your route. That's all you got to worry about.
But then I can hear Chris saying, stay low and keep firing.
Max.
Like I hear them together because everybody's looking at what's on somebody else's plate.
You can't talk about the other day. Comparison will rob you. It's about what I have, my purpose, the vision that I need to separate. That's why we do Black gaze, because that's all we focused on is the Black gaze. I can't sit here and center whiteness in this space, right? That's
the next question. Okay.
The next question.
So this is the last thing. You started to touch on this, but as we think about like what you've done with HipHopEd and the collective you've created. What are the parallels between the treatment of Black women, and I'm thinking about transgender Black women in hip hop and women in academia? How do we build a collective between Black women and Black men in academia and HipHopEd? How do we continue with that building of that collective?
That's such a dope question. I don't think I have answers to that. I can say what I move towards and how I try to position myself in this work, but I certainly don't have an answer. You know, I would say like for HipHopEd, which began with a collective of brothers, it's always creating spaces. And it's always also allowing our platforms to be shared in ways that allow folks to run their joint, to run their route, Dr. B, right? Like, you know, we do HipHopEd, everybody's welcome. And I remember like this is a powerful chat called Culture Fix that kind of was rocking with us. And they're like, nah, we sisters, we gonna do our own thing. And for us, like opening up space to big up Culture Fix and let them do their thing. Like it's just move out the way and let them do their thing. And then if you're needed, be there. You know what I mean? Like not overpowering, not over dominating, just like, yo, bam, I'm here if you need me. So I think it's that. And if you think about the experiences of Black women in academia and replicating hip hop, same. Like we silence, we erase, we don't give value to it. And look, beyond academia, society, like look at Stacey Abrams in Georgia.
Come on, sister.
And think about a person who was robbed.
Come on.
Straight up. Took that heartache, because you know it was heartache and heartbreak. I can only imagine the emotion of having everybody rally for you because they knew that you got this, having it stolen from you, and then feeling inadequate because you're like, what did I do wrong? I can only imagine that. And I can only imagine that the natural instinct in that moment is to do what? Go somewhere, bury your head in the sand, and feel sorry for yourself. And to take that and say, you know what? Everybody voting. And create a groundswell movement. Like, and for me, that narrative exemplifies the Black woman experience. Like, all that, put the work in, robbed of it, and after being robbed of it, feeling the pain of it, by folks who you thought were rocking with you, and then rather than saying, I'm gonna just go away, say, you know what? I love them enough to go hard again. And then after you get the victory, still be erased because you got the victory for somebody else. That's the Black woman experience. Like, I can't quantify what that is. I'm not going to perform a checklist of how to do that. All I could say is I honor it. All I can say is I see it. And all I can say is in my work, my life, the consortium of folks I rally around is to move out the way to let that be what it's supposed to be. And if I am needed, whatever, you know what I mean? Needed is levels. There's levels to need. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, sometimes there's a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes it's a letter to write. Sometimes it's a conversation with somebody that needs to be had. Sometimes it's to bark on somebody. Sometimes it's to scare somebody. Sometimes it's to shake somebody up. Sometimes it's to do things that the person don't know you're doing it, but you got to do it for them regardless and let them just rock out and just trust that. Because all I'm doing is trying to mirror. I've seen Black women do for me and for us my entire life.
Crazy.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Wow. And Chris, I want you to take a moment to speak to people because I know how you do and how you dig down deep. To people who don't understand, especially in the Black community, because, you know, we have the space where there can only be one good Black one.
Come on.
Can you speak to people about how we live in a space of abundance and how there's enough room for all of us?
Blessings are everywhere. Like one of my favorite people in the world, Loaded Lux. Like Lux is so dope. Y'all should try to get Lux on your podcast. Plus Lux, but you know, he goes like the ultimate wealth is knowledge of self. And oftentimes when folks are trying to be the only one, it's not really, it's really to mask some brokenness. And while I can critique that, I also always try, like, here's the thing. If I identify that somebody is broken, I will give them the grace to be broken, but I'll not allow them into my space. You feel me? Like if you're broken, I'm like, oh, that's why he wilded out. Like, that's why she was tripping. Oh, like, I'm like, okay, oh. And I can be like, all right, I can see where that's from. I won't take it personal, but I ain't gonna rock with you. And not rock with you in the sense of cancellation. Because I'm not a cancel cat. I'm gonna let you rock on your own. That's
not a cancel cat.
Here's the thing. When you give folks grace even at a distance, sometimes that grace extends to convert them.
Wow.
When you always trying to like fix, like when you're overbearing, all that does is build the animosity. Like, I'm gonna give you the grace to let and give you the light to let that be revealed to you in your own moment. Sometimes you get it back. I ain't gonna cancel you because everybody's worthy of redemption. But I'm not gonna allow you. I'm not gonna allow you to be in my circle to rob this light that I've been trying to sustain through prayers and meditations to be hindered by your darkness. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to get this light.
Listen, that's a whole life of work and consistent work to critique self, to own self, to sit with doubt, sit with inadequacy, sit with what I've inherited, break generational curses, find a mission I want to align myself to, find out it's the wrong mission because I wanted to align myself to it, lay open, naked, and bare to let somebody say, well, but this is your work instead. To deny that, like, no, that's not what I was called to do. I'm a classroom. Like, all of that work, I'm not going to allow some broken person to enter into this cipher. You know what I mean? So I'm going to love you from over there. But always believe in the possibility of redemption. You know what I mean? I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I try to flow. Like, yo, there's space for everybody. Once you know who you are. Here's the thing. There's a misperception that what's popping is it. What's it is what's not there yet.
Wow.
Like
that's Maxine Green.
Yeah. Like, I am who I am not yet.
Who I am not yet.
But is not yet. I am in a consistent, perpetual pursuit of my purpose. Sometimes folks were like, it gotta be just me. You chasing something somebody fabricated for you anyway. You're gonna get there and realize it's not even built for you. You're gonna get there and realize they're gonna hate on you regardless. You here burning all these bridges, disconnecting yourself from all your people in the pursuit of a position that was constructed for you by your oppressor. Picture that. So you're gonna get there and be like, I'm here now. And they're gonna be like, nah, not really anyway. You're not really in. And then all the way up is lost.
You teaching.
Come on, man. You gotta find you. I ain't trying to do nobody else. I'm trying to do me. and like, you know, and sometimes you're like, well, wow, that's so arrogant of him to say. Like, I'm not gonna allow you to wield words like arrogance against me. Like, I'm not arrogant. I'm just convinced that I'm operating in the will of the divine.
That's
good. All. Arrogance is if I feel like I'm better. I don't feel like I'm better than nobody. I feel like Dr. B has a purpose and a divine calling. I feel like Dr. Portia has her own divine calling. So I believe that we are all operating or have the potential to operate in our full selves. So that makes me realize like I'm equal to everybody else, but I'm convinced of my divine purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm my divine truth, and I'm gonna sit in and with that, despite what's thrown against me.
Wow.
You just got me to get. I don't know if I need to take up an offering for the collection plate.
For the collection plate. Because this just like you, I think, especially since we are, and I know that you have to get to the Twitter chat, but as we think about 10 years, you've given us some things to chew on for real about, you've created this collective so that people can operate in their purpose. That's exactly what you're doing with Hip Hop Ed, be it your own classroom, be it in the university space, be it in a nonprofit. I'm just creating a space for you to be. And how many of us can get free if we knew that it's really something for us, like just for you, like you said, like I know this was made just for me, and I'm operating in that. Like how much more free we would be if we were all operating in our own purpose. And that's
and the beauty of hip hop is that it is the vehicle that can take us to our purpose, right? Like it's this phenomenon, this culture that was constructed by those who were told they were broken and less than, that have always utilized these tools to find their way. And why hip hop is powerful, because it is our ancestors' tools repurposed for this season to get us to our destiny. Like hip hop is the vehicle that gets us to that divine purpose if we allow it to take us there. Like it ain't anything anybody else constructed. It's our tool, our thing, our culture. We love it or don't love it. It is a tool that drives us towards our purpose. And that's why we have Hip Hop Ed. So listen, y'all, in 6 minutes.
We're
celebrating our 10-year anniversary. Join us on Twitter, #HipHopEd. We're just gonna build and love on each other. And like, this
I'm excited.
First, I'm gonna publicly share this, y'all. So, all this work, Ratchetemic, the book, it's long overdue, but it's coming. And my publisher just told me that if you go on Amazon right now,
and
you type in RATCHETDEM,
I'm going on it.
It's on pre-order, so it ain't out yet. It'll take some months to get to you, but you can let the cats in the world know that it's coming.
Well, listen. I got a surprise for somebody. How about this, Dr. E? Dr. B, this on you, so the pressure's off me. You can choose. This is on you. You can choose anybody from the audience right now, and we will pre-order Ratchetemic for them tonight.
Wow.
I don't care.
It's on me, baby.
It's on you, baby. It is on you. Who you picking?
I'm gonna go with. Let me see. I'm gonna go with Mary Perfect, because that's my student and she is super dope. Mary Perfect.
Wow.
Is dope.
Mary Perfect. You will get the forthcoming book, Ratchetemic, from us. And Dr. B, just because I'm feeling lovely, pick one more person.
What you feeling?
One more person, because we like
one more. Let me give me one more. It's a giveaway.
It's a giveaway, honey. Give me one more.
Let me see. How about Dawn Williams?
Dawn Williams. So we got Mary Perfect
and we got Dawn Williams.
Now y'all gotta hit us up in our DMs and we will pre-order Ratchetemic for you by Dr. Christopher Emdin. Now, Dr. E, before we let you go, tell the folks where they can find you and learn more about your work. Tell them.
Yeah, man, I'm on the socials, you know what I mean? On IG at Chris Emdin. On Twitter, the same handle. Make sure y'all follow Hip Hop Ed on Instagram, at The Real Hip Hop Ed on Twitter. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. I'm there building, learning, growing with the community. And in the last few minutes, I just want to say to y'all, I really appreciate you guys for having me. I appreciate your energy, your truth, your passion, your authenticity. Like all of it is so beautiful and so magical. And like I'm just gush on Dr. Portia, but I just remember you as a graduate student and this light that you had, and to see it being magnified with each step that you take. It's such a beautiful thing to witness. And I learned from you then, and I learned from you now. I'm thankful for you. And my hope, my prayer, my wish for you and your good sister here, though, is that you continue to walk into your destiny and allow your light to shine. You make me so proud. And I'm thankful for you. Anyway, I ain't gonna get all the gushiness.
You know do it.
Yeah, that's my little sister, and I love her so much.
I love you too.
But I'm gonna see y'all on Twitter. All the people who are still kicking it on here, I appreciate y'all, the folks on Instagram. And I'm gonna chat in a minute. Peace.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, y'all.
Y'all, we thank y'all so much. And if you have not listened to our podcast episodes for season 2, you need to go ahead and do all of that. And then on Friday, you know we're doing Black Gazing. So are you Black Gazing? Have you purchased some of the merchandise? Come on, looking cute. It's about to be the holidays. You need to rack up on Black Gaze merchandise. So listen, ain't nobody playing with these people. So with that being said, the website is right here on the screen. And last but not least, we are heading over to the Twitter chat, but we got to shout out our producer. Mo, what's up?
Hey, Pooh.
What is up?
He probably sleep, y'all. He got to go to work.
Oh, he okay. Follow us on all of these things, subscribe. And what we want you to do is this video is about to hit YouTube, share it so that everybody can be blessed by all the things that happen.
Because I know I'm going to rewatch it because I got to take notes. I couldn't even take it all in.
It was so deep. Yoli, I love you.
Yoli, we love
Nana,
you.
I love you. Crystal, Kute, all of y'all.
All the UD students, thank you for showing up. ISU students, thank you for showing up. And we'll see y'all on Twitter in just a second. 1 minute.